Luis Antonio Cardinal Tagle, born on June 21, 1957, in Manila, Philippines, is widely recognized as one of the Catholic Church's most influential and compassionate leaders. His journey from a devout Catholic family to a key figure within the Vatican reflects a life marked by deep faith, humility, and an unwavering commitment to social justice. Throughout his career, Cardinal Tagle has addressed a range of global issues: poverty, human rights, and environmental responsibility, while remaining grounded in traditional Catholic values. As he steps away from one of the Church's most influential roles, questions about his potential future, including the possibility of becoming Pope, continue to surface. His legacy is one of progressive leadership, empathy, and a profound dedication to building a church for all people. Early life, the seeds of faith and leadership. Luis Antonio Tagle's life of faith began in the heart of Manila, where he was born into a devout Catholic family. His parents, both deeply committed to the Church, encouraged him to nurture his spiritual calling from a young age. As a boy, he showed a strong inclination toward religious life, and it was clear early on that his path would lead him toward the priesthood. His decision to enter the seminary at the age of 16 was a defining moment in his journey, one that would lay the foundation for the global influence he would one day wield. In 1982, at the age of 25, Tagle was ordained as a priest for the Archdiocese of Manila. His commitment to theological studies and the deepening of his understanding of the Catholic faith set him apart from his peers. He earned a master's degree in theology from the prestigious Ateneo de Manila University, followed by a doctorate in sacred theology from the Pontifical Gregorian University in Rome. These academic accomplishments were not just about titles. They signified Tagle's profound commitment to intellectual and spiritual growth, which would come to influence his approach to leadership within the Church. During his time in Rome, Tagle studied the works of Vatican II, the Second Vatican Council, a turning point in the Catholic Church that sought to address the modern world while maintaining the integrity of the faith. This experience would play a crucial role in shaping his future endeavors, particularly his emphasis on church reform, inclusivity, and pastoral care. His academic work on the impact of the Council on church leadership was well regarded, earning him respect both within academic circles and the ecclesiastical hierarchy, a rapid rise. From bishop to archbishop, Tagle's career in the Church progressed rapidly. In 2001, at the age of 44, he was appointed Bishop of Imus, a region in the Philippines that would become the testing ground for his pastoral vision. Over the course of the next decade, he demonstrated a rare ability to connect with people, especially the marginalized and the poor. His ministry focused on promoting social justice, poverty alleviation, and fostering a spirit of inclusivity. His advocacy for the environment and interfaith dialogue in particular positioned him as a forward-thinking leader in the Church. In 2011, at just 54 years old, Tagle's remarkable journey took a momentous turn when he was appointed Archbishop of Manila by Pope Benedict XVI. This was a significant step in his career, placing him at the helm of the largest and most influential Catholic archdiocese in the Philippines and one of the most important dioceses globally. His appointment came as no surprise to those familiar with his work, as it was a natural progression of his theological expertise, compassionate leadership, and deep connection with the people. The appointment also signified a shift in the Church's focus toward a more inclusive and compassionate approach to pastoral care. As Archbishop of Manila, Tagle became a leading voice for social issues, particularly the plight of the poor. His approach to the role was defined by humility and active service, two values that would shape his tenure. His engagement with the less fortunate went beyond mere charity. It was a call for justice, an advocacy for systemic change that would lift the most vulnerable members of society. His pastoral care wasn't just about comforting the afflicted. It was about addressing the root causes of suffering and working toward a more equitable society. A global leader, Cardinal Tagle's influence on the Catholic Church. Cardinal Tagle's leadership quickly garnered global attention. Just a year after becoming Archbishop of Manila, he was elevated to the rank of cardinal by Pope Benedict XVI in 2012. This appointment solidified his status as one of the key figures shaping the future of the Catholic Church. As a cardinal, Tagle was called upon to play an increasingly prominent role in global church affairs, particularly on issues of social justice, human rights, and ethical leadership. His approach to leadership was unique in that it combined a strong commitment to Catholic tradition with a willingness to engage with contemporary social issues. He was unafraid to speak out on issues such as migration, human trafficking, and climate change, positioning the Church as an advocate for the marginalized and disenfranchised. His speeches, delivered in multiple languages including English, Italian, and Latin, resonated deeply with international audiences, reinforcing his reputation as a leader who not only understood the theological complexities of the Church, but also the pressing needs of the modern world. A defining feature of Tagle's leadership was his ability to connect with people on a personal level. His storytelling, often filled with personal anecdotes, made his homilies and speeches feel deeply relatable. His ability to blend theological depth with real-world compassion made him a sought-after speaker at international conferences and events, further enhancing his global influence. A leader focused on compassion and inclusivity. One of Cardinal Tagle's most defining qualities was his unwavering dedication to inclusivity and kindness. As Archbishop of Manila, he tirelessly supported the poor and marginalized, making them central to his vision of a church that serves all people, regardless of their race, social standing, or background. His commitment to inclusivity was especially evident in his advocacy for the LGBTQ+ community. Tagle strongly believed that every person, regardless of their identity, should be treated with dignity and respect. This stance mirrored Pope Francis's reformist approach, calling for the Church to embrace a more compassionate, less divisive approach to those who often find themselves excluded. Tagle's leadership within the Church also extended to the internal dynamics of the clergy. He called for a more humble and servant-oriented approach to priesthood, one that emphasized empathy and active engagement with the community over institutional power. His views on inclusivity were not without opposition, particularly from conservative factions within the Church, who believed that his progressive stance on issues like LGBTQ+ rights conflicted with Catholic doctrine. Despite facing resistance, Cardinal Tagle remained steadfast in his belief that the Church's primary mission was to spread love and acceptance, offering guidance to all, especially those who felt alienated by traditional Church teachings. Controversies and political engagement. Despite his widespread admiration, Cardinal Tagle's leadership was not without its controversies. His outspoken stance on various social and political issues, particularly in the Philippines, created tension both within the Church and in the broader political landscape. One of the most notable controversies was his vocal opposition to former President Rodrigo Duterte's aggressive anti-drug campaign. Tagle's criticism of the government's policies, especially regarding the use of violence in the war on drugs, sparked reactions from both government officials and members of the Catholic hierarchy. While many applauded his stand on human rights, others felt that his involvement in politics compromised the Church's neutrality, blurring the line between religious guidance and political action. In addition to his political engagement, Tagle faced criticism regarding his handling of clergy misconduct within the Church. While his supporters defended his response, arguing that he acted in accordance with the circumstances, Others believed that he could have done more to hold those responsible for misconduct accountable. This debate sparked broader questions about the Church's commitment to transparency and justice, as well as its responsibility to ensure the safety of its members. Role in synods and church reform. Throughout his career, Cardinal Tagle has been deeply involved in various synods, contributing significantly to discussions on church reforms, pastoral care, and the role of the laity. His participation in the 2014 and 2015 synods on the family highlighted his belief in a more understanding and merciful approach to pastoral care. Rather than focusing on rigid doctrine, Tagle advocated for a church that listens to the struggles of families and offers guidance that is rooted in compassion, not judgment. His contributions to the 2018 Synod on Youth were also significant, as he emphasized the need for the Church to engage with young people on their concerns, including mental health, employment struggles, and their evolving relationship with faith. Tagle's vision for the Church, which balanced tradition with a pastoral approach to modern issues, resonated deeply with progressive Catholics while facing resistance from more conservative factions. Academic journey and theological expertise. After completing his studies at the seminary, Tagle continued his academic journey at Ateneo de Manila University, one of the Philippines' most respected Jesuit institutions. He graduated with honors in 1977, obtaining a Bachelor of Arts in Pre-Divinity. Following his undergraduate studies, he furthered his theological education at Loyola School of Theology at Ateneo, where he developed a deep understanding of Catholic doctrines and an ever-growing passion for the intellectual side of faith. Tagle's thirst for knowledge led him abroad to the United States, where he enrolled at the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. His years of study in the U.S. were pivotal, as he deepened his understanding of systematic theology, philosophy, and the intellectual traditions of the Catholic Church. During this time, he earned a licentiate in sacred theology in 1987 and completed his doctoral studies by 1991. His dissertation, which explored the role of bishops in the teachings of Pope Paul VI, received widespread acclaim from scholars, particularly his professors, including the renowned theologian Joseph A. Camanchak. Camanchak, who had a keen eye for recognizing great intellectual potential, predicted that if Tagle had not chosen to enter church leadership, he could have risen to prominence as one of Asia's foremost theologians. Priestly formation and episcopal leadership. In 1982, Tagle was ordained as a priest for the Archdiocese of Manila. His ordination marked the beginning of a distinguished ecclesiastical career, which saw him take on roles that blended pastoral care with intellectual leadership. His deep empathy for the poor and marginalized was evident in his ministry from the very beginning. As a priest, he focused on community outreach, working with the underprivileged and promoting social justice as an integral part of his religious mission. In 2001, Tagle was appointed Bishop of Imus, a diocesan territory in the Philippines. His pastoral approach as bishop was grounded in humility and service, and his reputation as a compassionate leader quickly spread. His work in Imus laid the foundation for a future of influential leadership within the Church, as he implemented reforms that aligned with the values of Pope John Paul II's teachings on social justice and the dignity of human life. His tenure in Imus was marked by a commitment to strengthening the Church's presence in the community, emphasizing education and extending outreach programs to the most vulnerable populations. His deep concern for the poor, as well as his intellectual approach to theology, won him the admiration of both local Catholics and church leaders worldwide. Archbishop of Manila, a vision for a compassionate church. In 2011, Pope Benedict XVI appointed Tagle Archbishop of Manila, a position that placed him at the helm of one of the most important dioceses in the Catholic Church. Manila, as the capital city of the Philippines, has long been a cultural and political center, and under Tagle's leadership, it became a hub for addressing the pressing issues of poverty, social inequality, and the role of the Church in advocating for the marginalized. As Archbishop, Tagle made an immediate impact through his pastoral approach, which emphasized humility, inclusivity, and an unwavering commitment to social justice. He became known for his outspoken advocacy for the poor, the homeless, and those living on the margins of society. His leadership style was in alignment with the more progressive vision espoused by Pope Francis, focusing on mercy, compassion, and the need to engage with the world's most urgent social issues. Cardinal Tagle's emphasis on inclusivity was perhaps best seen in his efforts to welcome people from all walks of life into the fold of the Church. His ministry was characterized by a deep concern for the spiritual and physical needs of his flock. He encouraged the Church to be a place of refuge and healing, rather than one of judgment or exclusion. His openness to engaging with marginalized communities extended to his advocacy for the LGBTQ+ community, where he called for a more welcoming Church that treats everyone with dignity and respect. A global leader in humanitarian work beyond his pastoral leadership in Manila, Tagle's influence extended to the global stage, particularly through his involvement in the humanitarian organization Caritas Internationalis. As president of Caritas, Tagle focused on expanding the organization's efforts to combat global poverty, climate change, and the refugee crisis. He understood that the Church's mission went far beyond the walls of the sanctuary and into the very heart of society's most pressing issues. Tagle's commitment to helping displaced persons was particularly personal. Growing up in the Philippines, a country with a significant number of overseas workers, he understood the struggles of migrants and refugees. His advocacy for migrants was a central theme throughout his career, and his work with Caritas led to several initiatives designed to support migrants, including job placement programs and emergency relief efforts for those fleeing conflict zones. His work within Caritas and his broader advocacy for migration issues aligned with the teachings of Pope Francis, who has called for a more compassionate response to the global refugee crisis. Tagle's personal experiences, particularly his exposure to the stories of migrant workers and their families, made him a leading voice within the Church's global humanitarian efforts. His ability to connect with people from all backgrounds, whether refugees in shelters or policymakers in boardrooms, enabled him to serve as an effective bridge between the Church's mission and the world's most pressing humanitarian needs. Challenges and controversies. Navigating complex issues. Despite his remarkable contributions, Tagle's leadership has not been without controversy. One of the most significant issues during his tenure as Archbishop of Manila, and later as a key figure in the Vatican, was his stance on political issues, particularly his handling of the Church's relationship with the Philippine government. Tagle was vocal in his opposition to former President Rodrigo Duterte's controversial anti-drug campaign, which drew widespread international criticism for its human rights abuses. Tagle's outspoken criticism of Duterte's policies put him at odds with some political factions in the Philippines, as well as within the Church itself. Critics argued that his public stance on political matters blurred the line between the Church's moral teachings and its political neutrality. Tagle, however, maintained that the Church's role was to speak out against injustices, particularly those that harmed the most vulnerable members of society. Another controversial issue during his time in the Vatican was his involvement, or lack thereof, in the ongoing debate surrounding the Vatican's relationship with the Chinese government. The 2018 provisional agreement between the Vatican and China over the selection of bishops drew criticism from those who believed it compromised the independence of the Church in China. Tagle, who was a key figure in the Vatican's missionary efforts in Asia, remained largely silent on the matter, raising questions about his stance on religious freedom and autonomy. Faith and social justice. A seamless integration. A defining feature of Cardinal Tagle's ministry is his unwavering commitment to social justice. This commitment is not just theoretical, but has been demonstrated through his active involvement in local and global humanitarian efforts. From his early years as a seminarian to his role as Archbishop of Manila and beyond, Tagle has consistently advocated for the marginalized, including the homeless, refugees, and migrants. Growing up in the Philippines, a nation deeply affected by poverty, displacement, and economic disparity, he witnessed firsthand the struggles faced by disadvantaged communities. This experience shaped his view that the Church's mission must transcend spiritual care alone and extend to the tangible needs of the world's poor and oppressed. As Archbishop of Manila, Tagle was an outspoken advocate for indigenous communities, whose lands and cultures are increasingly under threat from modern developments. He also worked tirelessly to address the economic disparities that plague many rural and urban communities in the Philippines. His support for these groups was rooted in a broader theology of solidarity, which emphasizes that all people, especially the poor, must be central to the Church's mission. Cardinal Tagle's work on global humanitarian issues. Cardinal Tagle's influence as a global leader within the Church has been amplified through his work with humanitarian organizations, particularly as president of Caritas Internationalis, a global network dedicated to humanitarian aid. Under his leadership, Caritas strengthened its focus on addressing global issues such as hunger, inequality, and environmental sustainability. His efforts to promote sustainable practices within the Church, including urging dioceses worldwide to divest from industries harmful to the environment, resonated strongly with Pope Francis's vision of an ecological conversion, outlined in his encyclical Laudato Si. In addition to environmental advocacy, Cardinal Tagle has been instrumental in promoting dialogue on other pressing global challenges, such as human trafficking, migration, and the plight of refugees. As an ardent supporter of the Church's role in alleviating the suffering of displaced peoples, Tagle has worked to ensure that Catholic organizations worldwide offer not just spiritual care, but also practical assistance, such as job placement services and emergency relief for people fleeing conflict zones. His work has made him a respected voice in global conversations on migration and human rights. The controversies and challenges of Church leadership. While Cardinal Tagle's ministry has been characterized by compassion and inclusivity, it has not been without controversy. His role as a vocal critic of social injustices and political corruption has at times drawn criticism, especially from those who see the Church's involvement in political matters as a potential risk to its neutrality. During his time as Archbishop of Manila, Tagle faced criticism from some factions within the Church for allegedly allowing clergy members to speak out against the policies of former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. In response to this, Tagle emphasized that the Church's role was to speak out against injustices, whether political or social, while maintaining a clear line between advocacy for justice and partisan politics. One of the more significant controversies during his career involved the Vatican's 2018 agreement with China regarding the appointment of bishops. This agreement, which some critics argued compromised the independence of the Chinese Catholic Church, sparked debates about the role of the Church in navigating international political relationships. Tagle's reluctance to comment publicly on the matter led to speculation about his position on these complex global issues. While some questioned whether he had the moral clarity to address such situations, others pointed out that his diplomatic approach aligned with Pope Francis's vision of engagement and long-term peace-building rather than confrontation. A vision for the future, inclusivity, and interfaith dialogue. Cardinal Tagle's vision for the Church's future is one of inclusivity, dialogue, and responsiveness to the challenges of the modern era. He believes that the Church must be open to all people, regardless of their background, nationality, or social status. This belief is evident in his advocacy for interfaith dialogue, particularly in the context of building bridges between different religious traditions. Tagle has been at the forefront of Vatican-led efforts to engage in conversations with other religious groups, including Muslims, Jews, and Buddhists, on global issues such as climate change, poverty, and conflict resolution. He sees interreligious dialogue as essential for fostering a more peaceful world, one in which people of different faiths can come together to work on shared humanitarian goals. For Tagle, this is not just a theological issue, but a moral one. He believes that religious leaders have a responsibility to promote peace and understanding in a world increasingly marked by division and violence. Additionally, his efforts to modernize the Church's outreach to the world have included initiatives to address some of the more pressing social and moral issues of today, such as human trafficking and family instability. As a member of the Vatican's Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, he has worked to ensure that the Church's mission includes both spiritual guidance and practical support for those facing these challenges. Legacy and future prospects. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle's journey is still unfolding, but his legacy as a compassionate and forward-thinking leader is already well established. His ability to navigate complex global issues with a combination of empathy, intellectual rigor, and pastoral care has made him a respected figure not just within the Catholic Church, but also on the global stage. His engagement with modern media, his commitment to social justice, and his advocacy for interfaith dialogue position him as a transformative leader who is shaping the future of the Church. Whether or not Cardinal Tagle ever ascends to the papacy, his influence on the Church and the world will undoubtedly continue to grow. His vision of a Church that is inclusive, engaged, and responsive to the needs of the modern world serves as a model for religious leaders everywhere. His journey is a testament to the power of faith, compassion, and the unwavering commitment to social justice, values that will continue to inspire future generations.